This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
U.S. crude oil stockpiles fell more than expected last week, while gasoline inventories jumped sharply as refining rates to the highest in over a year, the Energy Information Administration said on Wednesday. Crude inventories fell by 3.5 million barrels in the week to April 2 to 501.8 million barrels, compared with analysts' expectations in a Reuters poll for a 1.4 million barrel drop. Stocks in the Midwest fell to their lowest since March 2020. U.S. gasoline stocks rose by 4 million barrels in the week to 230.5 million barrels, compared with forecasts for a 221,000 barrel drop.
The Russian government has approved a formula-based export tax system for sunflower oil and a higher export tax for sunflower seeds, it said on Wednesday, as part of a drive to combat domestic food price inflation. Russia has imposed several export taxes for grains and sunseeds, among other measures, since December in its battle to tame rising food prices in the coronavirus pandemic. Starting from September, the formula-based export tax on sunflower oil is planned for 1 year, according to an order signed by Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
US-sanctioned Venezuela managed to ship more crude in March directly to China, its main export destination, even as overall shipments dipped modestly last month, according to internal documents and Refinitiv Acon data. The South American country's state-run oil company, PDVSA, and its joint ventures exported an average of 690,323 barrels per day of crude and fuel in March, a 3.9% decrease from the 718,180 barrels of oil per day in February and a 14.5% fall from the 808,000 barrels of oil per day shipped in March of 2020. A total of 25 cargoes set sail from the nation's waters last month. That was despite mechanical problems at its main oil terminal, Jose, on the eastern coast, which hampered vessel loading, forcing PDVSA to load more tankers through ship-to-ship operations, especially at its western Amue area, the documents showed.
Russian Urals oil exports in April were revised up by 0.1 million tons on Wednesday following several other increases this week and last, pushing up overall Baltic exports of the grade to 4.5 million tons this month, according to traders. It was the sixth extra cargo added to the loading plan from Russia's Baltic ports after the final version was issued late last month, an unusually high number. The increases reflect a rise in Russian output, helped by warmer weather and more relaxed OPEC Plus output limits, the traders said. Russian oil and gas condensate output rose to 10.52 million barrels per day, BPD, in April 1-6. Up from 10.25 million barrels of oil per day on average in March, two industry sources familiar with data told Reuters on Wednesday. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Copper fell from a 2-week high on Wednesday on worries over demand as inventories continued to increase and premiums for the red metal into top consumer China fell. Benchmark copper on the London Metal Exchange, LME, shed 1.3% to $8,933 a ton by 1650 GMT. The metal touched its highest level since March 23 at $9,104 in the previous session. Copper inventories in LME registered warehouses have since surged to 150,325 tons compared with 74,200 tons at the end of February.
Gold prices fell on Wednesday as strong economic data from the United States bolstered hopes of a swift recovery, with focus also turning to minutes from the Federal Reserve's last policy meeting for monetary policy cues. Spot gold fell 0.2% to $1,740.60 per ounce by 12:02 p.m. MEDT, 16:02 GMT. U.S. gold futures were down 0.1% at $1,741.60.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Zimbabwe expects sales of tobacco, its biggest agricultural export, to increase by 8.7% this year after the southern African country received its highest rainfall in 3 years, the industry regulator said on Wednesday. Last year, tobacco exports earned $782 million, only behind gold and nickel matte, according to official data. Zimbabwe's tobacco farmers sell their crop at auction floors in the capital Harare and to contracting companies, which then export it, mostly to China.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.